Dogs in the yard, might need a guard. Every loss, taking to heart. Me first, that cannot be. Must be these underdog episodes, see? Feeling much better, so suddenly. Under the Monica G. Crafted at night while all of them sleep. I won't look a fool, taking this tool. Defeating the opposition around me. No, I'm not sorry. Yes, I'm taking this knowledge and pride. Just barking no harm, don't be startled. Yes, I'm taking the title, and it's so vital. Thanks for the ride, I'll never be idle. Turn up the dial, it's about to get wild. And the points gon' pile up.
Dynasty Underdog bite down, up at the day and the night. Now, easy as flying a kite. Now, come take a look at it right now. Dynasty Underdog bite down, up at the day and the night. Now, easy as flying a kite. Now, come take a look at it right now.
Welcome to episode 138 of Dynasty Underdog. Billy Beeman here. As always, you can connect with me on Twitter at WillyBeemanDFF. And currently got Josh back with us here. How you doing, Josh?
Hey, man. I'm good. Glad to be back. Crazy work schedule, but hey, I'm here.
That's what I like to hear. You're here. All right. Awesome. Well, we're missing Uriah, as you all can tell. Hopefully he joins us here in a few minutes, having some technical difficulties, but we will get it rolling without him. And yeah, let's get on with it. Starting with the news and nonsense this week, right? Lamar Jackson officially asked for a trade. This is a pretty big one. I don't know if it really changes much because, teams still need to pay essentially what they were going to pay for him before if they just, gave him an offer on the tag that he's on. So I don't know how much has changed, but the fact that that he doesn't want to be there in Baltimore, or at least that's what he's saying. So I don't know. How do you feel about Lamar? Is he like because obviously his value is just, pretty up in the air right now in Dynasty. Probably can get him for fairly good value right now. Is he somebody you'd be going after, or?
Ooh, he makes me nervous. No, I'm going to lie.
Really?
I had an offer last year to get him, pretty cheap. I can't remember exactly what it was right now, but it was a pretty decent offer. But yeah, he just makes me nervous, man. The fact he represents himself, and I don't know if it's the Player Association or what, but the fact he's pushing for this guaranteed contract, you can't blame him. I mean, Watson got one. Why can't he? But he just makes me nervous because if he doesn't get one, I really think this trade request is more leverage than anything with the Ravens. No team has wanted to talk to him. So I don't really see that changing now. I mean, the only team that I think he would be a really good fit for that has the cap space to make it happen right now, in my opinion, would be the Colts.
Okay.
But I don't know. Let's see what happens here over the next, when's the draft? A month out?
Yeah. I don't know if the Falcons have the cap space, but I think they'd be a good fit. I think, in this, obviously, like, you can say homerism, but I do think it's true. The Patriots would be a good fit because the coach is great. Yeah. They could have a good defense around him, and they could maybe utilize him better there than he's ever been utilized. So I think there are some places that he could go. That said, what's the worst that can happen? What is the worst that can happen with Lamar Jackson? Let's think about it, right? He sits this year out. Is that the worst that can happen? Because he's going to play again. He's 26 years old. Was he just going to stop playing football?
No, not at all. But we've seen no matter what the position is, with very, very few exceptions, if you sit a year out for whatever the reason is, you don't come back anywhere near where you were when you decided to start sitting out. He could practice and train all he wants, and over the year, if he does decide to sit out, but that training will never match up, in my opinion, to actually being on the field, being with your guys, and being able to run it out there day after day.
All right, now we're going to just make believe land, right? Like, because we don't. That's not no. And I'm just saying, like, that we have no idea if that's going to happen.
Oh yeah, no.
He could totally play this year again for the Ravens, for another team. We don't know. There could be conversations happening in the background right now. So for me, like, he's a guy who I'm totally willing to go after. I do think my trade at the end of last year for Trevor Lawrence, I traded Lamar Jackson for Trevor Lawrence in a third in a Devy league. And I think that's looking pretty good value-wise right now, though I think Lamar Jackson's value can totally bounce back to the levels of Trevor Lawrence or above. He's that good. He has that much talent. So with what's going on, I think I'd just use it as an opportunity to go get him. And obviously, if you're trying to go win a championship next year, maybe think twice about that, right? Because, again, to Josh's point, he could totally sit out. But for me, if next year isn't like the priority, which usually it is, but if I have the room to do it, I would personally go out and try to nab him right now for, a first or extra, couple late first Uriah, my guy.
Hey.
Welcome.
That was rough.
But I mean, okay, so
Made
what do
it.
you think? What do you think his value is right now? What would you pay?
What would I pay?
Yeah.
I would pay two. I would easily pay too late first. Actually, I have that in Dynasty Underdog Listener League 3. I could probably go try that right now and see what the temperature. I could do a temperature check on Lamar Jackson. I think too late first is just an absolute smash for him personally. Yeah, Uriah, how do you feel about Lamar and saying that he wants to be traded from Baltimore?
Hey, well, I mean, this is what happens. This team messing around. Honestly, they should have had a deal with him like a year ago, right? MVP, stellar career, clean background. Everybody wants to compare the contract that he probably wants compared to the contract that Deshaun Watson has, and it's like, well, it just makes sense. So I think he wants to stay, but I think he wants to get paid, appropriately. And I have no problem with that. I know that Jim Harbaugh is a really good coach, or John Harbaugh. I think they'll figure it out. Like, I honestly don't think he's going to end up on a different team. But yeah.
Would you be trading for him? Would you be trading for him in Dynasty?
Yeah, of course.
Would you?
Absolutely. So 100%. Absolutely.
Would you trade the 106 and the 110 for him?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. No, that's
yeah.
And I think a lot of people would kind of be smitten with that right now. I think a lot of people would be happy to take that.
I think maybe people are scared, but like, for what reason?
I think we popped up the comment. Jake said too late first getting accepted. Doubt it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, from what I've seen out there, I do feel like that might be what some people would take. Now, if you're sharp, yeah, probably not. I mean, that's why we're saying to go do it.
Now, if anybody hears this, yeah.
That's the point, unfortunately for us sometimes. But yeah, that's the point.
Alrighty. Next up, we have Marvin Jones returning to the Lions.
Sorry, Uriah not being here shook me. I forgot.
I know.
Yeah,
I just hop on. I didn't change anything with my computer at all, and it's like StreamYard doesn't have access to all your stuff. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
I did an update, restarted my computer, and magically it worked. So
we're just rotating hosts right now. Marvin Jones returns to the Lions. All right. The only reason I want to talk about this is, like, do we care for Jameson Williams? Like, I know they, Chark moved on, so maybe this is kind of like slides into the Chark role, whatever that would have been. But I felt like they had enough at wide receiver there, and adding him, does it just kind of muddy the situation after Amon-Ra? Because obviously Amon-Ra is fine, and Marvin Jones is on the back end of his career. You just wonder.
I don't think it really matters that much. Marvin Jones is like perennially underrated. He always just seems to like score points like year after year after year. But I think they want JMO to work out. So I think JMO will actually have every opportunity to do that. Now, if he can't get more playing time over Marvin Jones, then that's a problem. So
okay. What about we saw today Israel Abanikanda, rookie running back out of Pitt, I believe. He ran a really fast 40 today. It was like a 4.39 40, which is pretty impressive for the kind of back he is. He's a little bit more stout. But I think everybody was kind of trashing him on Twitter, saying that he looked really slow running the 40. You did hear the guys in the background. They were like, 4.38, 4.39, whatever they had. So it seems like it was a pretty legit run. Does it excite you at all about Israel? I think we did a prospect profile on him a couple month and a half ago or whatever it was. I think we were lukewarm on him.
Yeah, he was the first profile we did actually.
Yeah.
And because I think he had like a pretty good Senior Bowl or whatnot, and there's a lot of hype around him. I still my opinion hasn't changed. Like, just because he ran fast, like I jump fast. I don't know. I think he's okay. I just think he's a guy though. But sometimes that's all you need in the NFL. It's just a guy. So
run fast, go Burr.
Also, I don't know if he did run that fast. Like, he looked slow.
I didn't think it was that bad, but I think it was more like the video angle and like the turn and everything.
Sure,
that kind of,
sure.
I don't know.
I'm not even the biggest fan of Band Canada, so or Izzy, whatever's easier, however we do this. But I mean, I think we're if we're just going to kind of keep overlooking him. I don't know if he keeps doing good stuff. At some point,
I know
if the value's there, you might want to snag him. Like I don't know, where's a place that you'd feel comfortable with? Somewhere in the third of rookie drafts.
Yeah, I was going to say probably early thirds, 303, 304.
Yeah, I mean, say he gets day 2 draft capital. I'd spend one of my seconds on him maybe, but not like probably not anything higher than like the 205 or something like that. But
yeah, I mean, I think just thinking about how deep the class is, it's definitely going to get into the third range. So I think he'll be probably an okay value there.
Yep.
Value on the rise. Okay. Really quickly, I wanted to talk about the tight end transition period. This is just something that I've talked about transition periods on this podcast before. I think we might have done it early this off season, and I actually just dropped a video on the Dynasty Football Factory YouTube channel. It's more like a podcast, honestly. It's like 20 minutes or so of me just talking, and I actually go through the Dynasty Underdog Listener League 3 draft, which is pretty dope. So listeners of this definitely should go watch that because it's pretty cool. And I talk about my strategy in that draft and kind of how I use the transition periods, right? But one thing I just wanted to point out is, when I talk about transition periods, I just mean, you see the running backs right now, kind of just all the old ones fading out, and we're going for all the new guys, all the young ones. We're kind of, avoiding all of the Dalvin Cooks and whatnot in drafts. And you could see that in Dynasty Underdog Listener League 3. They all fell to like double-digit rounds. So, a transition period is just that, right? And getting ahead of it is something I think that can be an advantage. And if you just kind of hone in on these and focus on these, it's helpful. One thing I think to look at right now is the tight ends, right? Like it's Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews. You can maybe throw Pitts in there, but he's risky and expensive. But he's definitely a guy who you can throw in there. And then there's really not much you want, in my opinion. Now, people may fall into like the TJ Hawkinsons, right? The Goddards, the George Kittles still, right? Like those guys. But I think for me, personally, it's either let me have one of those top 2 or 3, and then let me avoid the position otherwise and go for late round guys, or go for the new guys, the young guys, because we're seeing right now there's a massive flock of them coming in, and they were looking for them last year and it didn't quite hit, right? I do think I just did the film review on Michael Mayer. Dude's absolute stud, not going to lie. But I think, and I don't know if I'd pay up for them. We've talked a lot about, the Kyle Pitts and all that, not paying for those guys because you can get them cheaper down the road. Either way the strategy goes, I think you should be looking right now towards the next group of tight ends and trying to find that, whether you have the top end guys or not, because you can do it cheaper now and then cheaper down the road, really before the draft or after the draft. And as long as it's not Michael Mayer or Brock Bowers, the top guys, because they're just super expensive. Right? They're going to be super expensive and you don't want to do that. But for me, with that position, that's one where I'm kind of prioritizing it early in startups and or fading it and going after the guys who I think are going to fill that transition up, who are going to be that group that transitions over the old guys now. So that's just something that I kind of pointed out in that video at one point, something I wanted to point out to our listeners here.
Oh yeah, man! I mean, definitely tune into that after this. Hear what you have to say about these 3 and everything.
Yeah,
I think that 3 years we'll have this conversation and have guys like Dulcich, maybe my boy Trey McBride, and a couple of the rookies from this class, because it's a pretty good class, that we'll be talking about in the same sentences, like Hawkinson, and by that time Kelce will be out of the league and Andrews will have some age. So yeah, it's important to keep an eye on the changing atmosphere, I guess, when it comes to that. So cool. So this one, ADP, it just kind of fun to look at if you're not doing mock drafts or not keeping up with Cole Kmet. Are we going to overvalue Cole Kmet?
Sorry,
we got to
just have a comment.
So aren't we going to overvalue Kmet? No.
No, we're not.
I mean, some people definitely are, but I'm not.
I like the pick.
Yeah, I don't think
So
he's necessarily part of that transition period. I mean, also like with tight ends, you're only looking for the top end guys, right? Like you want guys who are top 5. So I'm always going to be chasing that, especially with the transition period in mind. So Cole Kmet, no. Sorry.
So this is a tweet I saw from it's all good. It goes on Twitter as at Matt FF Dynasty. And he posted just a quick little tweet, the latest Superflex rookie ADP versus 2 months ago. And I thought, we could just go through the players here and see if we have any thoughts or if we think it's pretty solid. So 1, Bijan Robinson, still the 101. 2, CJ Stroud moved up 2 spots from 2 months ago. Bryce Young down 1. At 4 is Jahmyr Gibbs, moved up 1. Jason Smith, and Joba moved down 2 spots. Anthony Richardson at 6 hasn't moved. Will Levis at 7 hasn't moved. At 8, Jordan Addison moved up 3 spots from 2 months ago. It's interesting. Quentin Johnson moved up 1 spot. Zach Charbonnet moved down 2 spots. At 11, you have Michael Mayer moved up 1 slot. And then Josh Downs moved up 7 spots from 2 months ago.
Up 7 is ridiculous.
Already then.
That's a lot.
It's like that's absurd, and I don't know why he was that far down. That's probably where he should be, honestly. Michael Mayer up there.
But do you have does anything really stand out to you that somebody doesn't really belong?
I mean, stuff stands out to me for sure. Like, I don't know why JSN went down too. I mean, I guess I see because Bryce Young and Stroud went up, which should have happened. Stroud should be there. I don't know why JSN is below Jahmyr Gibbs. That's strange to me. Jordan Addison moving up 3 is fine. Above Quentin Johnson's okay. Why is Charbonnet moving down? I'm wondering why Charbonnet is losing value. Is really kind of what stands out to me the most about this.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, just seeing Josh Downs move up 7 spots from 2 months ago, like. I don't know. It's kind of, yeah. This could be, if you're doing your rookie drafts before the NFL rookie draft, which you shouldn't do. This might be your first round of your, Dynasty rookie draft. So, just kind of want to throw it out there. Go check it out. Matt FF Dynasty. He's actually a pretty good follow.
Yeah, it's a good follow.
Yeah, man.
All right, next one I want to talk about because we've talked about this. This is like our 3rd year, right? Doing this podcast this time of year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pat yourselves on the back. Still going strong.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love it.
And we had talked
Big
about trying to buy into teams that are cheap to buy into in Dynasty because they're not exactly there yet. And notable ones that I know that we've brought up on this podcast when they weren't quite there yet was Miami. We talked about Miami pretty heavily last year. Like, let's try to get some of these pieces. Like, let's try to get some of the cheaper pieces, Waddle, and then they brought in Tyreek Hill. Gesicki was usable. And then we talked about Tennessee, or not Tennessee, but Cincinnati. Like, okay, Joe Burrow's a dude. He's a rookie just a couple of years ago. They got T. Higgins was started. This is before they even brought in Chase. And we're like, I want to get a piece. If it's Tyler Boyd, if it's Hayden Hurst, I want to try to get, because this is a offense that's going to be on the up and up. If you're projecting it, I mean, maybe not, maybe they bust, right? But you're just hoping. And so I'm looking at what Carolina kind of did this offseason. And I'm wondering if maybe we should be trying to buy into Carolina. I know it sounds ugly right now, but it's kind of sounded ugly a couple of years ago talking about Miami. That sounded kind of ugly, really ugly before Cincinnati actually went out and did some good stuff. And it looks like this coaching staff in front office in Carolina is trying to do something, right? They moved all the way up to 1. They're probably going to take CJ Stroud. I mean, I would if I were them, but they're going to take a quarterback, and they're truly rebuilding. They brought in DJ Chark. They brought in Adam Thielen. These are not huge signings by any means, but they're good, stable pieces, right? They brought in Hayden Hurst, a nice, really good tight end that a rookie quarterback could really kind of lean on. And then next year they could go ahead and start adding younger pieces and build kind of like Cincinnati has and, maybe Miami has. And I'm just wondering if we shouldn't go out there and try to invest in a couple of the pieces. The thing about it is just the age of the pieces that are on the team right now are kind of hard to – you don't necessarily want them on your Dynasty roster, but they're going to, but
Yeah.
Guys like Hayden Hurst
So-
and DJ Chark, Terrace Marshall, even.
Yeah.
Marshall. I mean, I'm keeping my shares of Tremble. Let him develop for another year or two, and then who knows?
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of most of the pieces there, to be honest. Miles Sanders probably the best value
Miles
of the
Sanders,
bunch.
yeah.
Maybe he might be the best value of the bunch. Like, I've never been a chart guy, and I'm not going to become one now. And I'm not really going to buy into Adam Thielen at 33 years old. So yeah, I'm not quite there with them yet. Like, obviously, if they add, like you said, Stroud, and they add JSN, right? If they somehow get this kind of stuff to, oh wait, they don't have the picture for that. It's Houston that does. So yeah, if they see, I'm just not going to get there with them personally this year. They're going to need to add other pieces is going to be the deal for me, other young pieces. It's probably going to take another year. A team that is there for me right now like that is definitely the Detroit Lions, right? Like, I want every piece of that I can get my hands on.
Yep.
Like, if I can get my hands on David Montgomery, thanks. Swift for a cheap price, yes. Amon-Ra St. Brown, obviously. The only one I'm not a big fan of is JMO, but I can also see buying into him. But his value is probably somewhere I'm just not willing to pay for. But any other pieces that they do add, if they get a decent tight end in there, like, I want a part of this offense. If they try to get a quarterback in there, it's just going to spike the value, right? Like a young quarterback, if they try to get one behind Goff, in a year or so, it's just going to spike everybody's value so much. And I think it's a good idea to buy into them early before they take off, really, really take off, because I think we saw at the end of the year last year what they can do. And that's with Jared Goff, who by all means is a good NFL quarterback, but he is not a guy who elevates.
Yeah, he's definitely not a guy that elevates his team around him.
No, he is. Man, we're just having a lot of difficulties tonight. It's okay. He's back. That's good. And
Was it
so
me?
I totally agree with Detroit there.
Was it me?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
I was just, I don't know what I was saying. It's all good. It's all good.
And then, we could add Jacksonville to that too, by the way. But I think, even that's, we're getting a little late on that. Like, I think people
we're a little late.
pretty wise to the fact that they're on the up and up right now. So it's just something to think about, like trying to get ahead on these offenses and seeing the moves that these teams are making and like seeing that, hey, maybe they're actually really trying to build something there instead of trying to buy established pieces, which cost a little bit more. So just something I was thinking about.
Yeah, I get it. And I see what they're doing. I just think they're about a year out. I want to see, I need to see some more valuable young pieces. And then, especially Stroud, like they got Stroud, I think that you can really start seeing it, but it's just the current pieces there, I think, are going to be washed out in a year.
Yeah. I get that.
Unfortunately. It's a good conversation.
Okay.
Love it.
That's a good conversation. Let's talk about some trades and non-trades because it's fun.
Yeah, we have a couple.
So we saw in Dynasty Underdog Listener League 1. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So we saw a trade for the 102 plus the 108 plus the 201 for Mahomes.
Dan, you're killing me, my guy. Why? I feel like, so it's not a terrible deal. Like, and I think Ben actually said this in the chat too. Like, he sees what he's doing. You see what he's doing. He's not really going to compete this year. He's trying to just move on and build, a team for the future and get as much value as you can for Mahomes. But, going for Stroud probably, or, one of the top quarterbacks, and then getting, I think, what was it?
108.
102 and 108, right? And then probably getting a wide receiver or one of the running backs,
and then
probably
201
Charbonnet or something, and 201. Yeah, 201 will be another running back or wide receiver, your choice. Maybe Michael Mayer falls, something like that, right? But for me, I just don't think it's enough. And a part of the reason is because the person that he got the picks from also has the 101. If I have Patrick Mahomes, I'm not walking away with the 101 without the 101, right? Like I'm not doing it. Like I'm charging you the absolute most. I could be wrong about that, but I'm like 99.9% sure. I can check right now too. But not only that, he also has like 8 first-round picks. So I would just hold his feet to the fire until the rookie draft, really. I just wouldn't have made the move this instant. I think you have time to do it. I think you have time to pressure him for higher value. And that's my only gripe with it. I don't think it's like terrible value or anything, but it's definitely lower value than I would. I mean, I would love to get Mahomes for that personally.
What do you think, Josh?
I think with how as many picks as he has, he definitely should have held him the fire more. No reason to pay what he paid for him when he could have waited. I mean, there was no rush to pull off this trade right now. He still has plenty of time.
He has the 101. I was right. He has the 101, the 103 still, 105, 106, 7, and 12.
Jesus, who let that happen?
Yeah.
We did.
So, smart guy. But, yeah, when you have that slew of picks, if I'm trading what is, and it's a super flex league, the most valuable piece pretty much, right? Like he's getting picked the 101, 102 in almost every draft.
Yeah.
So I would make sure that I got as much value as possible. And I just think that he left a little bit on the table. That's all.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
All right. This next one is 101, 107, and Njoku. For 103, 105, Rashad Bateman, and Brian Robinson. Whose is this?
Mine.
Tell me about it.
Got the 101. Don't need a running back. Do need quarterbacks and wide receivers. Find a tight end. So, excuse me. The guy that has the 101 the guy that wanted the 101 has 102. Had 102, 103, 105, 110, I think. Yeah. So in order to be able to draft hopefully 2 of the top quarterbacks, decided to consolidate, and I got Rashad Bateman out of there to help booster up my wide receiver core, and Brian Robinson, who I'm still very high on. So figured bring in a running back that way. And I mean, 103 definitely will go QB, and 105 really will depend who's like sitting on the board.
That's interesting. That's an interesting trade. Man. Damn. I don't know. Like I can say this like being the outside party that like I would have wanted, the 102 and 103. Like I wasn't involved in this deal and all the conversations. Like, but I think that that's like not a bad move with everything we've talked about, like with the 101 and Bijan Robinson and all that. Like if you can secure 2 of the top quarterbacks like this, or maybe you get a top quarterback in JSN, where you would have pretty much gone Bijan. Maybe you could have traded the 101 for an established quarterback. That might be the better way to do it right now. Like I think that is probably the best way you can do something is for an established quarterback in some kind of deal. But this isn't terrible. I think it's especially getting Rashad Bateman and Brian Robinson. I would try to trade Rashad Bateman off this personally. Maybe get another first round pick, whether it's maybe a 24 first, like just trade him straight up for a 24 first. That's what I would do. And then I'd feel a little bit better about that trade. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because we've talked about the 101 problem quite a bit. Yeah. And so this is actually, this is something we've kind of hinted at doing.
Yeah.
Is moving back. And so you moved back a couple spots, but you moved up a couple spots and really got yourself sandwiched in that, 103 to 105 spot where we're thinking, hey, maybe 3 quarterbacks will actually go. Mm-hmm. And you might be able to walk away from this draft with 2 of the quarterbacks. Hopefully they both succeed. Or as Billy said, get one of those top tier wide receivers since you don't need running backs. And I still like Rashad Bateman. So yeah, it's an interesting move, and I don't see anything wrong with it. So
cool. And then my other trade was J.K. Dobbins, traded him away for Treylon Burks.
I mean, where's the hitchhiker? Smash, every day. Like J.K. Dobbins, trade him away for Burks. Easy for me. I think Burks is going to be a stud. I talk about this in that video for Dynasty Football Factory too, because I had selected him in that draft. I love what's ahead for him, and I love that his value is so low. So I think this is a great trade. Youngish running back who's going to get older, who has no knee, for super young wide receiver who has his whole career ahead of him. It doesn't even really, I mean, you don't have to think about it too much, do you?
Is this the same team?
No, different team.
Yeah.
You're like, damn, this is going to be a real good day for you.
I was like, if that's the same team, like that's perfect. Like again, you said you don't need the running backs, but
I don't know if you guys remember a couple weeks back, I made the trade of Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts.
Yes.
For the 101 and Brees Hall.
Yes.
So I traded that 101 and the 107 I had to the 103, 105 Bateman.
Oh. Yeah, that's not bad at all then.
Yep.
101 Dak Sutton for Allen, and you turned your 101 into and the 107 and Joku for the 103, 105. Okay.
Wait, what happened?
No, I was telling Uriah that this trade was the second trade I made in the trade that I did for Jalen Hurts and Dak Prescott for the 101 Brees Hall.
This last one is a trade you made?
No. This trade
okay.
This trade here,
got it,
the 101
it.
I got here was from the
107.
trade I did, yeah. So I got Brees Hall and all that. But anyways.
Oh wow. Okay.
Here
That's fun. Wow, you had a time with those trades. Wow, some big ones. You do the crazy big trades. I don't really get into those that often, but you parlay them into another crazy big trade.
Hey, come on. It's for fun.
I don't know how
it's building my team up, then.
No, if that's what you love doing, like by all means, play the game the way you like playing it. Nobody's here to down you on that. And some of them really work out, obviously.
Yeah.
So this last one hit the Discord, and again, the 101 conundrum, right? The 101 problem. I think it's just a good
Nobody knows what to do with it.
Nobody knows what to do with it. And this one, I think there was a little disagreement on value. Not much, but just a little bit. So I think it was worth talking about, right? And this got done in Sleeper. This wasn't like a idea. This got done.
Yeah.
The 101, Dak Prescott, and Sutton. So let's Bijan Robinson, Dak Prescott, and Cortland Sutton, which to the person who sent this in there is a zero value player. Okay. So 101 Dak and nothing for Josh Allen. I thought that was a damn good deal if you want to get out of Josh Allen, like in my opinion. Anybody disagree? Or is this how you get Josh Allen? Like
it's probably what you have to go to spend on Josh Allen, but I would probably try to get a different player than Sutton personally. But I don't hate the trade by any means.
I mean, to the person's point, I guess. Like I don't know if I would have been upset if Sutton wasn't involved in the deal. I might have still done it because I think Dak Prescott is such an undervalued quarterback. What don't we like? Zeke is gone, but they're freeing up money. They're bringing in Brandon Cooks. They're shoring up this team for Dak Prescott. We've seen he has top 5 upside in fantasy, right? We've seen that he has that kind of production potential. So, trade the top 2 quarterback in fantasy for a top 8 guy plus the 101, which you can parlay into maybe another quarterback plus maybe something else, or you just get Bijan Robinson. Maybe your team was already a stud team and you just traded Josh Allen away, and now you're going to go compete with Bijan Robinson and Dak Prescott, right? So I can't get enough of that personally. For me, I just think that it's a way overspend for Josh Allen. I love Josh Allen as much as I guess I don't love Josh Allen as much as the next guy, but I love Josh Allen a lot, and I just wouldn't go to those lengths personally.
Yeah, I'm all over the 101 Dak side here. I think this is, again, like you said, like a really good way to move from Allen, who, like, if you have Allen in your Superflex roster, like, you're just so happy because he's just there every week scoring tons of points for you, and it's amazing. But Dak is not like a huge step down, and the 101 could be anything. You could turn that into another starting quarterback, or you could draft Bijan, you could trade down. Like, there's just so much flexibility there. I love that move. The Dak side.
Yeah, me too. I think there was I think David, who sent it in there, was pretty firmly on the Allen side. So there's definitely some disagreement out there. And I think, I've seen it. I just saw it in this salary cap league. Actually, I put it in the Discord that somebody actually in the salary cap league, each year, if they don't have a contract, you have to either spend $45 for 1 year, $35 for 2 years, or $25 on top of whatever their contract is for 3 years to retain them, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had him for $58 on like just that year contract, and I just went, back-to-back championship, and I had Jalen Hurts for like $7, who I'm going to sign to a 3-year deal, and Deshaun Watson because nobody wanted to pay the guy for $9, who I'm going to sign to another crazy deal, right? And I'm like,
The Browns wanted to.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm like, I'm obviously not going to sign Josh Allen, and I decided to. I was like, I'm going to drop him. Somebody traded me a 2nd-round pick and just straight up for him, to then pay him $25 extra to pay him 80 some odd dollars. His value, my point here, trying to give you an illustration, his value is way too high. Too high. What are we doing? Why do you want to spend that much on Josh Allen? Obviously, he's a fantasy cheat code, but so are some of these other guys who are coming into the league, who are in the league, who are lower valued. And it's just, it's a little much to me at this point. I think there's opportunity to move on from him.
I like it. Cool. So let's do another prospect profile. So I reached out, just like, hey, I think Josh Downs had like his pro day today, so it's kind of topical. And also, he's just a guy that like on the sheets has really jumped out to me. And I know he was like a Debbie darling a couple of years ago, but people have kind of faded on him, and he's not like a huge topic of a conversation out there in the Twitterverse so much. But I really like the guy, so I'll run through what I see on the sheets, and then you could tell us what you see on film.
Cool.
He's kind of small. He's listed as 5'9", 171, which I don't like that much, but he has no problem in the red zone. Like, you could just go watch some of his film, and he's still getting it done. 20-year-old breakout age, 87th percentile. His college target share is 34.1, which is really good. It puts him 97th percentile. He's basically the offense, right? 2.8 PPR points per game average, 27.3 targets per route run, which is really good. It puts him like top third of the class easy. And then 2.5 yards per route run, which we've talked about that before. Really anything over 2 is like a pretty good signal. 2.5 is just like cake. All the things I'm looking for in a wide receiver. Analytically, he kind of checks all the marks. I do just wish he was a bigger frame. But he's an absolute baller.
Okay, love to hear that. Okay. So for me, I actually really ended up liking Josh Downs on film. I ended up grading him out, and he lined up over everybody but Zay Flowers and JSN, and has, to Parker's Washington credit, that they have like the same score. But those guys are pretty far and away from the rest of the group. Well, actually, no, it's really Zay Flowers and JSN, and then it kind of evens out. But he is up there at the top, regardless. So I really liked him on film. Just getting into it here. So I think he shows really, really, really good suddenness, especially off the release. He shows the ability to fight through contact. He has above average footwork off the line and within the route, which is not something you see from a lot of these receivers in this class. He's not a super well-refined route runner. I would like to see a little bit more purpose, use of angles, deceptive technique to leverage defenders at the stem of longer developing routes, but the baseline is there to improve. So that, it's something that I'd like to see him do better at the next level with some development. He has a really, really effective zig or whip route, whatever you want to call it. He consistently wins off it. Like on film, you just constantly see it. Short area, just goes inside and boom, whips it outside. He's a little bit more physical of a receiver. He has good hands. He doesn't typically catch with his body. He high points the ball. Feels a little bit more like a possession type receiver at first glance to me. He does have okay yak ability, but no breakaway speed, in my opinion, or elite burst to escape defenders for big plays regularly. He's pretty good feel for spacing in zones, good separation for lack of the refined route running. He does show good pacing through routes. Like, he has a good ability to let up and immediately accelerate through the route. He uses physicality and strength to get open. short area smash routes or downfield for a big play. Either way, he shows that strength in both areas. So you see some late separation. I wouldn't describe him as the fastest, but he's quick in short areas, and that's, you see that on those whip routes. And he is an above average athlete in general. I did see a lot of short area throws, but I do think he's more versatile than that. So the NFL definitely could use him a little bit better. And just again, with the yak ability, I don't think it's anything really special. So I think he's more of a possession guy. Like I said, maybe for a comp, everybody likes these. Josh always asks me, bargain brand Amon-Ra St. Brown, maybe is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes.
He's got a little bit of Cole Beasley to his game.
I hate that. Why'd you do that to him? Why would you
Now you
why
wanna
would you
draft him?
do that to Josh
I'm gonna
Downs?
be
Yeah,
in
nobody's
three-
gonna draft him after that.
I'm gonna be
Everybody's
in
like,
3
wow.
rookie drafts with you. No, I'm gonna be in 4 rookie drafts with you, and I want to get like at least one share of Josh Downs.
0. You'll have 0. But I think it's I think that you just did a terrible disservice to Josh Downs. You should apologize. And the listeners may honestly have just heard that and be like, wow, that was a terrible profile they just did on him. Cole Beasley? That's what we got, Cole Beasley? No. Bargain brand Amon-Ra St. Brown is way better. I guess does that equal Cole Beasley? Is that what we have?
Maybe.
Maybe. Oh boy.
Oh my
wow.
god.
Wow. Where have we gone? We're off the rails.
It's been a long day here.
On that, thank you for listening to this week's episode of Dynasty Underdog. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Dynasty Underdog, at Uri Dawkins, at Willie Beeman DFF, and at Josh on Goldberg 92. And make sure you follow our Discord, free for everyone. Sign up today.
Yep, absolutely. It's a little bit shorter episode. You want to talk to us more? Hop in the Discord. Let's go.
We're always there. They're all there.
I'm always there. Too
Oh
often.
my God.
It's bad.
Have a good night,
Peace
guys.
out, everyone.
Peace out.